Okay, so it's episode 20, Yanks and Mets podcast. We're here with Newsday reporter Eric Boland, who does a great job covering the Yankees. So, Eric, thanks for taking a few minutes. I know you're about to hop in the clubhouse soon.
No problem at all, Julian. Good to talk to you again.
All right, so we're going to start with Jasson Dominguez. What's your feel in that situation? I know they said you tweeted out that he looks good to go for today. Is there any reason to be concerned, or do you think he's going to be fine?
I mean, I think the way that Boone answered the question after the game last night, he kept it kind of simple. Before the game, he had said that Dominguez planned to go into the batting cage and swing a little bit. You remember when he came out of the game at Dodger Stadium on Sunday night, the issue was after sliding to second base and, getting the left thumb contusion was he could not grip a bat. So obviously it's a good sign that he could swing in the cages yesterday. And again, after the game, when Boone just sort of, with a short answer said, yeah, he should be good to go. I don't think there's a high level of concern there, but I've been doing this a long time. And I always remember something Joe Girardi used to say when it came to injuries. He said, until they're actually back out on the field, you're never completely or never feel completely that you're in the clear. So, the lineup should be posted here probably in the next half hour or so, and we'll see if Dominguez is in it.
Yeah, so what are your impressions of him early on, like offensively, like defensively? It seems like he's made some strides in that area too.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think people fully appreciate the difficulty of learning a new position on the fly. I mean, this is a kid who came up as a center fielder and a pretty good one. Scouts that I remember talking to had Dominguez from his first year in rookie ball on up. Said that he was a decent to at times good center fielder, and obviously he's got the speed to play out there. It's different when you suddenly are going to left or right field, and he showed up early, well before position players were required to show up in spring training, specifically so he could work on learning left field, doing a lot of that work with the third base coach, who's also the outfield coach, Luis Rojas. And it's been, a slow but steady improvement. He did not look good out there in the early going of spring training. He's had some moments in the regular season here where, he struggled with some of the routes that he's taken to balls. But, he's much better than he was when this all started off. And I do think that learning the position and the effort and work that he's put into it, and he's put a lot into it behind the scenes, I think maybe it's impacted him getting going consistently offensively. And you know this, Julian, I know how closely you follow the Yankees prospects and have for years. There's never been any questions about his bat.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's always been, what's he going to do? Will he translate to a good center fielder in the big leagues? That was the question when he was coming up. And then obviously with roster mechanizations that have happened the last couple of years necessitated him moving to left field. But again, his bat's never been something that's been, questioned. And we've seen some pretty good glimpses of it this year. The batting average, I know we're not supposed to focus on batting average. At least the analytics crowd doesn't want you to. But I can tell you in the clubhouse, it's still an important thing. So I'll go with the players on stuff like that, including by number 99, Aaron Judge, by the way, when it comes to the importance of batting average. But anyway, we'll go to on-base percentage, with the analytics guys like a lot more. Dominguez isn't where anybody believes that he's going to be, but we've seen some flashes of it this year, and I think just him getting regular reps, I think Jasson Dominguez is going to be just fine.
Yeah, and he's coming along on the right side a little bit too. I think the numbers will look decent at the end of the year. So let's transition to another guy who's going through injuries. What's the latest with Giancarlo? Do you think he could be back next weekend possibly? Or do you think that would be too soon?
He's supposed to come back to New York today. He spent the last week plus down in Tampa taking live at bats, and then the determination is going to be whether they send him out on a rehab assignment, which I think is going to be the end result, or have him just take more, live at bats against minor league pitchers down at the Yankees complex. But the fact that he is coming back to New York this week suggests to me that they'll probably send him out on a rehab assignment. I don't think, and you can throw this back in my face, certainly if I'm wrong, I don't think he'll rejoin the team on their next road trip where they go to Kansas City and then Boston. But I think the week of June 16th when they return, I think that's a possibility. I will say the Yankees have been and they never get information on injuries anymore. They always sound pretty cryptic when they're talking about it. With Giancarlo, they've sounded even a little bit more secretive than usual, and that's saying something for this franchise. Not because there's been any setbacks or anything like that, but they're really keeping a timeline pretty close to the vest with him. So just some of the digging that I've done on it behind the scenes, all indications are he's doing fine. It's just a matter of how many at bats they're going to decide that he needs to get, and whether they're going to be back in the minor league complex or on the direct machine or out on a minor league rehab assignment, which again I think that's the that's the safe way to bet. And then I don't think it's going to be a terribly long rehab assignment because, as you know, he's not going to be playing the field. He's strictly going to be DHing in those rehab games. So it's not as if they need to get him 3 innings in right field and then build him up to being able to play 7, 8, 9 innings in the field. It's really just about getting him at bats.
Yeah, and he's not a guy that likes the lengthy rehab assignments either. So I definitely agree with you that it's going to be quick for better or worse as he returns. So when he comes back, how do you view the situation with Ben Rice and everyone getting playing time? Like, how do you think the rotations are going to work when he finally makes it back?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think that, they're going to find a way to get Rice in somewhere. I mean, I think that you might see him, fill in at first base, maybe a little bit more for Paul Goldschmidt, although you have to be careful. You don't want Goldschmidt's bat out of the lineup, particularly against, lefty pitchers, the way he's just assaulted them this year. Giancarlo is not going to, even when they deem him ready, it's not like they're going to put him as the DH 7 days a week, so I think you'll see some alternating between him and Rice. But look, I mean, Ben Rice, obviously the batting average has gone down a little bit, but, he still makes hard contact more often than not. He had a couple of real bullets that he hit last night that were right at people. So he's still squaring the ball up with regularity. So, I think they'll just get, a little bit creative. And, in the end, if there are no more injuries, somebody's going to end up probably sitting a little bit more than they would like. But, that's the price you pay for sometimes a healthy roster.
Yep, because they've been doing pretty well without him from an offensive standpoint. Here's a more interesting question. This is going to be tough, but do you think they would DFA Reyes or Peraza? Because one of them's definitely on the fritz, and their times are both getting low, it seems like.
I think Reyes is the more likely of the two, and that's just speculation on my part. I think that Peraza, because of his history in the organization, and the fact that, look, I mean, they still have some, I know Jazz just came back, but, Peraza can really pick the ball. I think he's a little bit better fielder than Reyes. Reyes probably has some more pop in the bat. But I think Peraza might be considered slightly more valuable. They're more than likely probably to lose either guy.
Eventually,
get scooped up by another team. I mean, Peraza's stock as a top prospect, and again, you remember this, Julian, when him and Volpe were coming up together, and I would talk to opposing team scouts that had the Yankees system, and I would say, who do you want between the two of these guys? Recency bias suggests that everyone probably said Volpe overwhelmingly. And I can tell you that was not the case. I had just as many scouts from other teams tell me that they would take Peraza as would take Volpe. So I do think, and Peraza has certainly shown in his sporadic playing time that he can still field the ball. He is still a terrific infielder. Obviously, he's just has not demonstrated that he can hit, but that's not as needed out of him as it might be with maybe another team. So I think as of now, Reyes probably would be the casualty there, but I can't say I would be shocked if they decided to cut bait with Peraza either.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting decision because when Stanton comes, those are the only two guys that can really go since LeMahieu's going to stay because of his contract and he's playing better. So speaking of the DJ and Jazz situation, we've talked about this a lot. Were you surprised they actually put Chisholm at third and DJ at second? It feels a little bit clunky to me.
Yeah, I was joking with someone in the Yankees organization about this the other day. All of the questions about, and I'll be the first to admit, maybe I'm missing something, but I didn't understand all the questions. To me, you put DJ at second base. He played 8 years there in Colorado, won 3 Gold Gloves. It's by far, he's a good third baseman. He's a good third baseman, but he's been a really, really good second baseman in his career. He's obviously on the downside of his career. You want to make it as easy a lane as possible for a veteran guy to get his feet under him, and second base is his better position. Now, it happens to be Jazz's better position too, because obviously Jazz had never played third base before the Yankees traded for him last year and agreed to go there after they got him from the Marlins. But he acquitted himself pretty well at the position. His athleticism, really showed over there. It's still learning a position on the fly, as we talked about earlier with Dominguez, and you would see that sometimes in Jazz's positioning, particularly on cutoff throws from the outfield. But then he makes the spectacular play going into foul ground the other day and throws a dart across the diamond, and Goldschmidt has the nice scoop over there. But to me, it's just a matter of DJ's not going anywhere anytime soon. He still has 1 year left after this year on that contract that he signed. And so you want to put him in the best position possible to succeed. So I have to say that all of the questions about whether DJ goes to second, third, et cetera, I just never thought it was as big a deal as other people did.
I got you. So let's speak on that. At the deadline, do you expect them to be aggressive and pursue an infielder, or could you see them standing pat in a certain situation?
It's a good question, Julian, because obviously, the conventional wisdom, and I still think it holds true, is that the Yankees need to add starting pitching depth. They've obviously Luis Gil is making progress on his way back, but you still don't have a definitive date for when he's going to return, and they really cannot sustain another injury to that rotation, because organizationally, and we talked about this in the spring when I saw you, Julian, organizationally, they just have no starting pitching depth. And so if another guy or two goes down, you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, or, rolling the dice with, a prospect or two that you just have no idea what they're going to give you on a start by start basis. And we've seen that with Will Warren, who I think has done very well this year. He wouldn't have started in the rotation had there not been the injuries that we were talking about. But you do see the ups and downs that a young starting pitcher, they're not all Paul Skeens. They're not all going to be a guy that just comes in and is lights out and is on a Hall of Fame trajectory from start number one, basically. Generally speaking, you get the roller coaster ride that you've had out of Will Warren, and I think he has shown a lot more good than not this season. But you see the growth that takes place with 95% of these guys when they try to find their footing as a big league starter. But anyway, the Yankees just don't have the kind of depth in their organization for starting pitching to sustain another injury in the rotation. And you generally need at least 10 starters to get through a given season. And some teams need a lot more, some teams need less. The Yankees actually were relatively healthy in that department last year. They only needed 8. Well, they're not 8 deep even right now. So I think Alan Winans probably will be the next in line. And he's got all of 10 big league starts, under his belt. So I still expect them to add starting pitching depth. I expect that to be the priority at the deadline. I don't see them paying for Nolan Arenado. He's 36 years old, has 3 years left on his contract. I just don't see that. I think he would be a good fit here for a year, but I'm not necessarily sure 2 years from now or 3 years from now he would be as good a fit. So I don't think the Yankees are going to overpay for infield help, but I would not be shocked if they try to bring some more depth in that department. And I wouldn't be shocked if they added a reliever either if the opportunity presented itself.
The reliever always seems like the throw-in. They always get some type of reliever, and especially with Weaver going down. But we're going to end soon now. You got to go. But I want to ask about the Yankees catching situation. We both talked about Escarra. We weren't surprised when he made the team, like some people were maybe. And Austin Wells, some people have not been talking kindly about him. I think he's still doing a decent job. But we'll talk about JC. What's been your impressions of him as a Yankee?
I mean, it's. I asked him after he had the 3-hit game in Colorado last weekend. I said, you were such an interesting story in spring training, journeyman trying to make the big leagues, a 30-year-old for the first time. Has it been everything that you dreamed, hoped that it would be? And he said, the major leagues is everything it's hyped up to be. Look, he was a great story in the spring, but he had to produce, and he was a great story when he got named to the roster coming out of the spring, but you have to produce, and he's done that, and it's not an easy job, to catch once or twice a week, and to remain engaged and ready. And he's done all of those things. He's as active in the meetings as anyone with the pitchers, learning their stuff, game planning, strategy, etc. He prepares every day as if he's going to be the starting catcher, which is integral for a backup to do. To use a Brian Cashman phrase that he uses in a variety of circumstances, Escarra has checked all the boxes, and the energy that he brings to the clubhouse every day, it's infectious. The way that you heard people talk about Oswaldo Cabrera, same type of vibe that he brings each and every day. And trust me, during the grind of a 162 game season, that type of thing. You can't measure it with any metric, but it's very important in a big league clubhouse. But again, all of those things are fine and good, but if there's no production between the lines, if he was not gelling with pitchers, which he has been, if his game calling was not top notch, which it has been, if he was not excelling at pitch framing, which he's been one of the better catchers in the big leagues this year in terms of stealing strikes, if all of those factors didn't come into play, and if he didn't get the occasional knock from the left side, if he wasn't doing any of those things, all of the other attributes that I talk about, become irrelevant, and the Yankees see if they can find somebody else. But, he has, I would say that he's actually surpassed expectations to this point, given the fact that it's his first year in the big leagues and he's not playing regularly.
Yeah, to me, he's solidified himself as the backup catcher. I don't think they should experiment with Rice, honestly. I don't know if they actually would do that. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Would they go down that route in a pinch, maybe?
I think it's unlikely. The one thing that I could see happening with the catching situation is, Wells has not gotten it going at the plate. And, going back, we keep referencing guys when they were coming up through the minor leagues. As you know, with Wells, he was always considered a hit-first catcher. And he has, worked his ass off really since he was drafted because he knew exactly what his reputation was when the Yankees drafted him.
Yeah.
And all the questions about whether he'd be able to actually catch in the big leagues. And there was speculation he would play elsewhere, maybe first base, whatever. And he has tirelessly worked to make himself a good defensive catcher. And he has become exactly that. I do wonder, though, if he continues to struggle at the plate, if you'll suddenly see Escarra getting, a few more starts, not where they're splitting the catching duties, but just another, instead of Escarra catching an average of one every 5.5 days, maybe it's, twice every 5 or 6 days, something like that. But to answer your question, I don't see Rice fitting into that mix. And look, Rice has improved behind the plate. He's worked, there as well, but he's not considered a top line catcher, and certainly not as good as what the Yankees currently have running out there with Wells and Escarra.
Yeah, for me, like Wells, he's a low average guy, obviously, so some people won't like that. But his OPS is still over 700. He does have 9 homers, over 30 RBI, so it's not like it's empty. But like they definitely want to see more consistency. On base at 280 is a little bit low. He's got to get that up for sure.
And he does, and look, you do see Wells grind out a lot of at bats. They don't end up necessarily being productive at bats based on the on base percentage that you just quoted. But he is not a guy that gives away at bats, and as long as he continues to do that, I think the Yankees will be relatively positive on him. But look, he does need to probably needs to step up that production sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he gets a lot of hard hit outs sometimes too. That kind of they look like 0 for 3 in the box score, but he would rub a line drive or two or just miss a homer or something. But Eric, I know you probably got to get going, so thank you. I really appreciate you giving me a few minutes, and then we'll see what happens against the Red Sox. Should be an interesting one. The Sox aren't playing well, but the rivalry's still intact, so we'll see.
No, I think Yankee fans certainly would have a chance. They very much enjoy rubbing the Red Sox noses in it when they can, and this would seem to be a Red Sox team that could get their noses rubbed in it a little bit, because from afar that's a highly dysfunctional franchise with a general manager that apparently has forgotten his playing days in terms of the way that he communicates with players. But that is a topic for another day.
Yep, Eric, thank you, and good luck out there, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
I look forward to it, Julian. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you so much. So I'll do my solo part now. Eric's got to go to the clubhouse. Now we'll put myself in the middle here. So he gave us a lot of good insights. The couple things I really took away was that it doesn't seem to be as much of a priority as people would want it to be for the Yankees going after an infielder. That's not to say they won't do it, but they're not going to overpay for one. So for me, like I've been talking about for the past week plus now, Eugenio Suarez is the guy, because he won't cost a crazy amount. He's coming on a contract deal. He gives the righty balance. He's got the pop. If you're talking about low average, no one's going to like that either. But he hits a lot of home runs. He got some extra base hits. His defense at third is pretty good. Not elite, but not awful. You can get by with him there. Brandon Lau was the guy. And I know Jeff Passan brought this up. So whenever Jeff speaks, I listen. But Brandon Lau would be a match made in heaven for the Yankees, because then you could keep Jasson at third, and Lau would be a phenomenal fit. I know his numbers at the stadium aren't as great as people would think, but he does hit a lot of home runs. So I think he could figure it out. Defense is pretty solid. So could that be a fit? Those are two guys. Juan Moncada, on a lesser degree, also going into free agency. The Angels are not going to end up competing. So those are the three guys I'm looking at. I don't really see Ha-Seong Kim, because the Yankees would have just signed him and his contract's a little bit more than Moncada's. So Bo Bichette, can everyone stop talking about Bo Bichette, please? There's two problems with that. Number one, the Blue Jays are in contention. We could start there. I know he's probably not going to re-sign with them, but if they're competing, it doesn't make any sense for them to trade Bo Bichette. Number one. Number two, why in the world would the Blue Jays want to send him to the Yankees? They sent the Yankees J-Hab, which was not nearly as productive as Bo Bichette would be for them. And also, is Bo playing second? Is he playing third? He's not going to play short with the Yankees. I mean, he could probably slide over to second base, I would imagine. And I'm sure it will be a decent fit, but I think it's highly unlikely. That's like a 1% chance for me. I put Eugenio Suarez at the highest. We'll put Juan Moncada slightly above Brandon Lau. And then we'll put Lau third. Those will be my power rankings. We'll go Suarez, Moncada, Lau as likelihoods. So for starting pitchers, he gave me some breadcrumbs there too. I definitely agree, because Warren has been hot and cold. I still believe in Will, and I think he's been doing very solid, like Eric said. But when push comes to shove, do you want him starting a playoff game? Probably not. Is Luis Hill going to be ready to start a playoff game? We don't know. And he's very far away still. For me, Luis Hill I'm completely guessing here, did not hold me to this at all. Luis Hill, in my estimations, is going to be back in the second half of the season, maybe shortly after the All-Star break. If they get him back after the break, then you could run him, Clark, Will, or Yarbo. Yarbo could end up staying in over Will maybe if he can keep it up. But again, Yarbo's been a great story. He's a junk baller, crafty guy. He's pitched in the division before. He has experience, but how long is that going to last? And do you want Yarbo starting playoff games? I'm not 100% sure about that either. I think Clark Schmidt's going to be fine. He's a solid third or fourth starter. He had one bad inning yesterday. The Yankees did not score. That game is not on Clark Schmidt. That game is on the Yankees offense sleepwalking. So let's get those two things separated as well. So that's a good juggle of the starting pitching infield. For catching, could you give JC a couple more starts? Yeah, you could. Sure, why not? And here, speaking of Will Warren, I made the case, a strong case, that Will and JC should be a pairing. And that would be giving JC more opportunities to catch as well. So that kills two birds with one stone. Maybe you catch Escarra 2 to 3 times a week instead of just once. Maybe see if they work him up to 3. See what he could do. You know, the other thing about Escarra that I'm going to tell everyone right now, he is going to hit a lot better once the weather gets warm. He is a hot-blooded kid. He's from Hialeah. He's Cuban. You know, everyone loves to hit in the heat. When the summer gets hot, the ball starts carrying. He does not like hitting in the cold, that's for sure. And the beginning of the year was definitely some cold days. but he did hit a homer in a sloppy rainy game, so credit to him for that. And his catching is phenomenal. Can he work better on throwing people out? Sure. But also some of that's on the pitchers, the releases, the jumps. Some of it has not been as crisp as it should from the pitchers holding runners on as well. And yesterday he had a very good throw, but it was just like the guy was too far. So good things from Escarra. I think Wells is going to be fine. This is not me not believing in Austin Wells, because I do. And I think the OP on base average and OPS will all end up getting higher. His power numbers aren't bad in the 932. His defense is still looking great. He also can improve on throwing guys out. He's working on it, so we'll see. And then I'll close down with some Dominguez stuff, like LeMahieu stuff, like Jazz, and we'll go from there. So Chisholm is back. I think he's going to be a great addition, like I've been saying. Like anyone that didn't want him back doesn't know what they're talking about. Just that's all I have to say. Wouldn't be surprised if he has a homer tonight again. And then ZJ, to me, like, do I buy what's going on? No. Is it better than it was? Yes. In the last 2 years, yes. Is it sustainable? I don't really know. I need to see a lot more before I'm buying into DJ LeMahieu again. I'm not there yet fully. I just don't fully believe it based off how everything's been. But a .4 B-WAR, 1 homer, 231 average, 6 ribbies, OPS still only 606, on base 298, 52 at bat. So I guess in this circumstance, like, try to get him to 150 at bats, and then maybe I'll make an evaluation or like 100 at least. It's just like I don't trust it yet. It's just because like I don't trust the ability to stay healthy, number one, and number two is like it could just be a couple of lucky games. We don't know. I mean, he's hitting the ball harder, so maybe he will be better than I thought. But the jury is definitely still out there, and they need to upgrade the position. They can't be taking gambles with him. The bench, when Stanton comes back, is going to be a little bit better. Well, a lot better, honestly. To me, like I've been screaming from the rooftops, I'll be polite with this, but Pablo Reyes has to be the one to get DFA'd. Peraza needs to stay for now, at least. If you DFA Reyes, then that leaves you a bench with Raza, Escarra, one of the outfielders, and Rice, Goldie, or Stanton rotating. That's a lot better. Is it perfect? No, but it's a lot better. And they need to address that at the deadline. There needs to be at least one infielder brought in. A reliever seems like a guarantee. It always is. I did get some decent news that the Yankees are scouting the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday extensively, like their top scouts. I don't know if it's relievers. David Bednar makes sense. There's a few other arms that make sense. Could it be Brian Hayes? I was told no. I mean, he hasn't been hitting well enough as much as I like that idea. Maybe he's kind of like Peraza right now with the bat. The other guys, there's Dennis Santana, Yankees already had. I don't really need the second tour there, but I guess Drew Wentz is a lefty. He's not bad. I mean, let me just check Santana to make sure. Like, I think he has been pitching well for them, but he was like, okay, 219, yeah. Let me see. 24 innings, 21 Ks, even 5 saves. Maybe. I mean, he wasn't awful for the Yankees. He kind of just like didn't really have a place. There was too many people. I mean, he had he had a over 6 ERA, but it was only 27 innings. Could they just actually don't fix anything? Do exactly what he's doing in Pittsburgh if he does come back. And I would be way more interested in him coming back than I would for IKF. I don't want any part of that. I don't think that's a good fit. I think IKF needs to be left alone. He's doing good in Pittsburgh, well better. I don't know if it would be the same if he came back. If he's a bench bat, I guess maybe, but I don't want him back in the starting mix. I don't think that's the right decision based off what happened when he was in New York last time. Some retreads you just have to let go. Okay, so I talked about Stanton coming back. Like, the thing is with G is you know that leg injury is going to come, so he's not going to fully end up playing through everything. So you have to be prepared for that. Rice not catching is exactly what I want to. I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense. I agree with Eric there. I don't think they should be getting creative. I don't want him at third base. Like nothing. Like just keep him at first. CH is what it is. He plays when he plays. And I will leave people with a breadcrumb that might be controversial, but I'm going to drop it anyway. Here we go. I would trade Ben Rice if the opportunity made sense for the Yankees. If they can get a third baseman, high-quality third baseman, or a Brandon Lau, for instance, I would definitely give Rice to the Rays for Lau, but I don't know if they need him because they have Diaz and Miranda, so maybe that's not the right example. A frontline starting pitcher. Is that Sandy Alcantara anymore? I don't know, but that's the type of guy that you would put Ben Rice in a package for. Merrill Kelly's been looking pretty good, low-key. Do you do the Suarez and the Kelly deal? Zach Gallen, I know, has gotten mixed reviews. I wouldn't mind taking the flyer on him. I know some people feel differently. He hasn't been pitching well this year, but he has a lot of talent and ability, and I think he can be fixed. I'm not going to go too much deeper into the names right now just because it's so much time. What I will do is do a little preview of the Red Sox Yankees series quickly. So tomorrow's Walker for the Red Sox. Saturday's Garrett Crochet. The Yankees were going with Will Warren. I don't know if they're going to switch anything because nothing's been announced unless I check MLB maybe, but I don't know. It hasn't been announced, which is odd, but I'm trying to see what's going on for Sunday. So for Sunday, the Red Sox are going to throw let's see. If this will load, that would be fantastic. The Red Sox are going to throw hold on. Sorry, everyone. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. Red Sox. It was Sunday Night Baseball. Red Sox are throwing. Oh, they did fix it. Hunter Dobbins against Carlos Rodon. That definitely favors the Yankees, especially because the Red Sox have a bunch of lefties, and Rodon's been pitching great this year. Saturday, let me see if they put the Yankees pitcher. Yarbo versus Crochet. I know Crochet's been great, but that really favors Boston. So if there's a game they're going to win, it's probably that one. And Friday is Warren versus Bueller. That could very much be a toss-up. Bueller has not been pitching great. I'm worried about Will again because the Red Sox have a ton of lefties. Like Devers and Duran could give him fits. So is there a scenario where the Red Sox take 2 out of 3? Yes. Yankees, to me, could take 2 or 3. I don't think it'll be a sweep on either side just because the rivalry, the Red Sox really need these games. But ultimately, I would probably say, you know what? I'm going to surprise people here. The Yankee fans or anyone who supports the Yankees won't like this, but I will say that Boston takes 2 or 3 because I feel like Walker Bueller has the Yankees number a little bit. Although it's not hot, it's not cold yet. He pitches much better in the cold, so maybe the Yankees could get him. The problem is I think the Red Sox are going to score runs on Will Warren. That's definitely going to be a high-scoring game potentially. I could definitely see a few homers going there. Saturday's definitely a Red Sox day. I feel good Crochet. Although Yarbo could keep it interesting. Can he keep it rolling? I'm still skeptical, but it is a good matchup for him. He's pitched against Boston a lot. They have faced a lot of the Yankees. I mean, a lot. He will get a lot of lefties, is what I meant to say there. Let me see his stats versus the Red Sox really quick, but I know they changed some stuff, but Bregman's still not going to be back for Boston. Oh, no, he pitches horribly against them. That might be it's a 7 ERA, 60 Ks in like 20 appearances. Yeah, I think what I said is correct. So the real money maker game for the Yankees is going to be Friday. See if they can set the tone. Sunday, definitely Yankees with Rodon against Dobbins. That goes without saying too much, I think, on Sunday Night Baseball. And Aaron Judge loves Sunday Night Baseball. So this was a very fun episode. I want to thank Eric again for hopping on. He did not have to. He jammed it in before a clubhouse session, before the game against the Guardians. And tonight, I think the Yankees should win. Max Fried's in the mound. He didn't pitch well last time. The Guardians are throwing Sony, who's definitely up and down. I know the Yankees struggle with these random pitchers sometimes, but I think they'll figure it out tonight since they were not hitting well yesterday. I think they'll do it today. And Max Fried has been very good for the Yankees, so I think he's going to be just fine. And Guardians are a good matchup for him too because they have some lefties or some switch hitters also. But the Yankees should win the series. I know the Guardians. Guardians beat them last time when they went to Cleveland. So Yankees definitely want to get some retribution for that. You never know if it could be a tiebreaker for home field advantage. But the Tigers are probably winning that division. But thank you, everyone. Check out our Esquina. Follow me on Julian Gordy1 on Twitter, Julian Gordy11 on Insta, and I'm also on TikTok.